let me ask you something. What if you could move $1 million across the globe, and it was just as fast and just as cheap as sending an email? I know it sounds kind of futuristic, right? But that is the core promise behind Ripple and its digital asset, XRP. Today, we're going to dive into their massive mission to build a brand new financial superhighway and figure out what it could mean for the future of, well, money itself. And it really all starts with this one simple and honestly pretty frustrating question. We live in an age of instant everything. Information, messages, you name it. So why on earth is our global payment system still so painfully slow and expensive? This is the exact problem that Ripple and XRP were built to solve. So where's the holdup? Well, the answer lies in the plumbing. The system that moves all that money across borders is, and I'm not exaggerating, shockingly old. Seriously, think about it like trying to run a high-speed internet company using a telegraph from the 1800s. It just doesn't work. It can't keep up. For the last 50 years, that old plumbing has been the SWIFT network. Now here's the wild part, the thing you've got to understand. SWIFT doesn't actually move any money. No, it's just a secure messaging system, kind of like a telegraph that sends payment instructions from one bank to another. The actual cash, that moves way, way slower. And the scale we're talking about here is just, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. Every single day, this network is handling the instructions for over $5 trillion. It's this hidden backbone of all global commerce, but it's a backbone that was built back in the 70s. Now, to make this whole messaging thing work, banks have to keep piles of cash parked in accounts at other banks all over the world. They're called Nostro/Vostro accounts. And this system traps a colossal amount of money, an estimated $27 trillion. That's capital that's just sitting there, doing nothing, when it could be used for loans or investments. It is a gigantic built-in inefficiency. So let's just recap, right? The old way is slow. We're talking days to settle. It's expensive with crazy high fees. It involves a super complex chain of different banks, and it ties up trillions of dollars in capital that could be doing something useful. It is a system just loaded with friction and delay. But what if you could just change all of that? This is where our challenger comes into the ring, a company called Ripple. And they set out with this incredibly bold mission to do for money what the internet did for information. Their goal? To build what they call an internet of value. Okay, first things first, let's get this straight, because it's important. Ripple is the company. They're a tech company based in San Francisco, and they're the ones building the software and the network to bring global payments into the 21st century. And their whole strategy isn't to replace banks, but actually to work with them. And XRP, that's the tool they built to get the job done. XRP is the digital asset, the native token that runs on something called the XRP Ledger. Its entire reason for existing is to act as the super-fast, neutral bridge between any two currencies anywhere on the planet. So how does this new plumbing actually work in practice? Let's break down how a digital asset can completely change a system that's been running the same way for half a century. It's pretty cool. And I mean, look at this. The difference is just night and day. Instead of taking days, a transaction settles in 3 to 5 seconds. Instead of costing you 10, 20, even $50, it costs fractions of a penny. And it's not stuck in business hours. It's running 24/7, 365. This new model completely replaces that slow, expensive system of parked money with a fast, efficient bridge asset. Now, a question I know you're probably asking is, okay, but how is this different from Bitcoin? And the answer is they were designed for totally different jobs. You can think of Bitcoin as a store of value, like digital gold. XRP, on the other hand, was purpose-built for one thing and one thing only: payments. It's thousands of times faster, can handle way more transactions, and uses a tiny, tiny fraction of the energy. And that speed, that's the absolute game changer. 3 to 5 seconds. Just think about that for a second. In less time than it takes you to tie your shoes, value can be sent, received, and finally settled, whether it's going across the street or halfway around the planet. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. When you try to remake the entire global financial system, you better believe you're not going to do it without a fight. A technology this disruptive is facing enormous hurdles, from huge regulatory battles to just old-fashioned resistance. The most famous obstacle, by far, has been this landmark lawsuit from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Back in 2020, the SEC sued Ripple, claiming XRP was an unregistered security. The case sent shockwaves through the entire industry. Now, a key ruling came down in 2023 that gave some clarity, but believe me, the legal battle is not over yet. And honestly, the lawsuit is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Ripple is also dealing with a total lack of clear global rules, natural resistance from the very banks it's trying to help, and growing competition from government-backed projects called central bank digital currencies. You add in some healthy debate about decentralization and price swings, and you've got a very, very steep mountain to climb. So, with all those massive challenges, what does the future actually hold? Well, if Ripple and XRP can somehow navigate all these obstacles, the potential is just immense. We are talking about the very future of how value moves around our planet. And here's the thing you have to remember. This isn't just a theory anymore. Adoption is already happening. Even with all the headwinds, hundreds of financial institutions in over 70 markets are already using Ripple's network. And we're talking household names here, like PNC, Santander, and even American Express. Okay, so to really grasp the potential scale here, let's walk through a quick hypothetical model from the source material. And I need to be super clear. This is a thought experiment about utility. This is not an investment prediction, all right? So first, you start with Swift's daily volume, which is around $5 trillion. Second, you assume a velocity where each XRP token gets used, say, 10 times a day for payments. Third, that means you'd need a total liquidity pool of about $500 billion to handle all that volume. And finally, if you divide that $500 billion by the available supply of XRP, you landed at a hypothetical value of around $9 per token. Again, it's just a model, but it's a really powerful way to see how the token's value could be tied directly to how useful it is in the network. And all of this brings us to one final fascinating thought. While most of us are just watching the daily news and the stock market, something truly profound might be happening right under our noses. As one analyst put it, a parallel financial universe is quietly being built. And the real question is, are we witnessing the construction of the very roads on which the entire future of finance is going to drive?